The faculty of Stoneman Douglas High School, we're going to close out the evening with two very special contributions from members of your community. The first is a poem that was written by the late Alex Schachter, and it will be read by his father, Max. After the poem, students from Douglas Drama will perform a song called Shine that they wrote this week to honor their friends after the shooting. Max?
Two weeks ago, Alex was assigned a poem for a literary fair. He decided to write about roller coasters because Alex loved roller coasters. He wasn't writing about his life and had no idea his poem would become his future. Ryan, my son over in the red shirt, wearing the Stoneman Douglas Eagle Regiment shirt, read this beautiful poem at Alex's funeral, and now I would like to read it to you because it's amazing. I love it. And I want everyone to hear Alex's words. Life is like a roller coaster, a free verse poem by Alex Schachter. Life is like a roller coaster. It has some ups and downs. Sometimes you can take it slow or very fast. It may be hard to breathe at times, but you have to push yourself and keep going. Your bar is your safety. It's like your family and friends. You hold on tight and you don't let go. But sometimes you might throw your hands up because your friends and family will always be with you. Just like that bar keeping you safe at all times. It may be too much for you at times. The twists, the turns, the upside downs. But you get back up. You keep chugging along. Eventually it comes to a stop. You won't know when or how, but you will know that it will be time to get off and start anew. Life is like a roller coaster.
You threw my city away. You tore down the walls and opened up all the gates. You ruined this town. You burned all of the bridges and you slowly let us drown. But you're not gonna knock us down. We'll get back up again. You may have hurt us, but I promise we have drunk, and we're not gonna let you in. We're putting up a fight. You may have brought the dark, but together we will shine the light, and whoa, we will be something special. Whoa, we're gonna shine. We're gonna stand tall. Gonna raise up our voices so we'll never ever fall. We're done with all your little games. We're tired of hearing that we're too young to ever make a change. 'Cause you're not gonna knock us down. We'll get back up again. You may have hurt us, but I promise we'll be stronger, and you're not gonna let you in. We're putting up a fight. You may have brought the dark, but together we will shine a light. We can hug a little tighter. We can love a little more. Laugh a little harder. We can stand up and roar. If we all come together, it will be alright. Stand up for one another and we'll never give up the fight.
We refuse to be ignored by those who will not listen. There are so many things you can do to become involved. Reach out to your congressman, mail, call, and tweet.
The smallest of words can make the biggest difference.
Be the voice for those who don't have one.
Together we have the power to change the world around us.
You're not gonna knock us down. We'll get back up again. You may have hurt us, but I promise we'll be stronger, and we're not gonna let you in. We're putting up a fight. You may have brought the dark, but together we will shine the light. You're not gonna knock us down, we'll get back up again. You may have hurt us, but I promise we'll be stronger, and we're not gonna let you in. We're putting up a fight. You may have brought the dark, but together we will shine the light, and whoa, we will be something special. Whoa, we will shine.
What an incredibly powerful night. And this is a conversation that could actually change things in this country, and we're going to continue it right now, right here on CNN Tonight. Welcome to CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. Thanks for joining us. You heard the students at Stoneman Douglas High School right there. Teenagers fearlessly speaking out just 1 week after the deadly rampage in their school. Politicians from both sides of the aisle coming face to face with those students and hearing their demands for action and listening to those kids. It feels like maybe, finally, something will be done this time. Because those students and the parents of those who died told us, all of us tonight, loud and clear, that they won't be ignored. They won't let us forget their classmates. They won't let us forget their teachers. And they won't let us get away with playing politics and doing nothing to stop the next deadly rampage. So let's get right back to the arena now. Katie Hartung outside the town hall for us. Katie, good evening to you. Kaylee Hartung. So Kaylee, tell me what's happening. What did you witness there tonight?
Well, Don, I don't think anybody doubted that this would be an emotional evening, and you felt that in the arena, whether it was the sadness and grief those mourning were feeling, or the zeal and the passion, as we've heard from the students and survivors of Stoneman Douglas all week long. There, too, was anger and outrage. You felt these emotions by way of the standing ovations and applause at times, or maybe the tears and the boos. On a night when the president nor Florida's Republican governor would come to answer the questions of this community, Republican Senator Marco Rubio did, and he absorbed a lot of that anger from this crowd. Early in the evening, Fred Guttenberg, a man whose daughter Jamie was killed 1 week ago, he zeroed in on Rubio's opposition to the assault weapons ban.
I think what you're asking about is the assault weapons ban.
Yes, sir.
So let me be honest with you about that one. If I believed that that law would have prevented this from happening, I would support it. But I want to explain to you why it would not.
Senator Rubio, my daughter, running down the hallway at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, was shot in the back.
Yes, sir.
With an assault weapon, the weapon of choice.
Yes, sir.
Okay? It is too easy to get. It is a weapon of war. The fact that you can't stand with everybody in this building and say that, I'm sorry.
After that exchange, Fred Guttenberg walked down the aisle. He received hugs and handshakes from anyone who could get near him, Don. Should also mention that in that exchange, Marco Rubio made some news in saying he would support legislation that would ban the sale of rifles to 18-year-olds. There were also applause for Rubio, though, when he said, this can't end here. And Don, if what we saw tonight, if what we've seen from the students of Stoneman Douglas in the past week is any indication, this conversation, this demand for change will continue.
Kaylee Hartung, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now I want you to listen to this very powerful moment. It's from our town hall. Ryan Deich, a student from Stoneman Douglas, who I spoke with last night. He had some pointed questions for Senator Marco Rubio.
Now I'd like to say, Senator, these drills, code reds, active shooters, they've been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. When I was in 5th grade, I had to hide in a closet, in a bathroom for 3 hours, and just waiting with my teacher and nearly 20 other kids to see that just because a shooter has come to our town, not even in the school itself. Now, 7 years later, I'm in a closet with 19 other kids, waiting, fearing for my own life. Now, I'd like to ask you that after me and several others have been going out of their way, going to the state capitol, speaking out, we'd like to know, why do we have to be the ones to do this? Why do we have to speak out to the Capitol? Why do we have to march on Washington just to save innocent lives?
I agree. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I want to bring in now another student at Stoneman Douglas, Alfonso Calderon. Alfonso, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, you were there on the stage tonight. Emotions ran high. You heard from senators on both sides of the aisle. But I do have to say, as I was watching this, a lot of people did not agree with what much of what Marco Rubio was saying. But at least he had the courage to show up and do his job and answer questions from his constituents.
I want to say two things about Marco Rubio tonight. One, I am thankful, honestly, that he dared to show up. I was at the Capitol earlier today, and a lot of representatives from his party did not give me the time of day. Second of all, I am actually very excited about what is to come, because Marco Rubio talked about change. It is the first time I personally have ever heard him talk about changing the age from 18 to 21. From, you know, even talking about the assault weapons ban. That is fantastic. People need to remember that this is going to happen in small steps if it is going to happen at all. And if we want the momentum to keep going, we need to keep going with the small steps. And I am, again, very thankful for Marco Rubio, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to him again soon. What
do you say, Alfonso, to the, because as I was watching, I was like, you know, Marco Rubio, he's getting beat up, but he showed up. And this happens when lawmakers go back to their hometowns, and many times we don't see these town halls or these Q&As. We did, you know, during the whole Obamacare debate. But what do you say to lawmakers who did not show up? Do you think they're afraid to face you, or they're afraid to answer questions about the NRA or about their stance on guns and how we fix this?
I don't think they're afraid. I think they're not prepared, and I don't think they'll ever be prepared for something as strong as me and my colleagues, my friends, my families in this community. They aren't prepared for what's coming. They can hide as long as they want, but they have to understand that the public has had enough. The kids have had enough. The teachers, the families, everybody, even Marco Rubio is talking about change. And although they aren't prepared right now, they better get prepared, because change is coming.
The NRA was at the town hall tonight. How do you feel about Dana Lash, at least what she had to say, how she responded? At least she showed up as well.
Sincerely, I feel like she isn't living in reality. How dare she? The mother of Scott Beagle, one of the teachers at my school, was talking about when the amendment was ratified. And she went off on a tangent about how there were more than just muskets at the time. That is so irrelevant. This isn't what this is at all. We don't care about that. We don't care at all. What we care is about seeing change and seeing it now. And I know that's what Scott Beagle's mother wants to see as well. She, again, tiptoed around questions and dodged the yeses and the nos. That is indicative to me as to what I think the NRA is going to do for this movement and for the people of Parkland, who honestly I think are fed up.
So let's talk a little bit more about the NRA, because there was a question asked to Marco Rubio. Someone asked very directly, will you say that you're not going to take money from the NRA? He would not make that promise or that pledge. Do you think the NRA is prepared? Apparently you don't think Dana Lash was, if she's not living in reality. Are they prepared to go up against you or to answer questions from you? As you said, the lawmakers who didn't show up weren't prepared to?
I think that they're prepared, and they're probably going to put up a good fight. But they need to understand, the NRA can only do so much. We are the people of America. We the people are the ones who change this country. We the people are the ones this country is made for and run for. We the people elect who they pay to stay in office. They need to remember that, because they can fight now, they'll fight for years, but change will come.
Were you able to listen to the listening session at the White House today, Alfonso?
No, I haven't been able to.
You haven't been able to.
I've been very busy in the Capitol and then coming here.
Yeah. So you went to, I won't ask you a question about it because you didn't see it, so it's irrelevant. You went to Tallahassee to lobby for change. Let's talk about where you are now and what you're doing. The Florida State House voted down a motion to consider a ban on assault rifles. With that experience and what you heard tonight, do you think the students of Stoneman Douglas are being taken seriously by policymakers?
Honestly, no. Because when I went there today, all I wanted to do was start a conversation. I wanted to speak to every single representative that was a Democrat or Republican or even had any power whatsoever in gun laws in this state. And for 2 hours, the group of students that I had was thrown around the Capitol building without speaking to a single representative. We were put off several times. And the one time I had a chance to speak to the Senate leader, I asked them one straightforward question. I said, you keep talking about looking into policy changes, but will you actually act on anything? Yes or no? Sadly, he did not respond to that question and again tiptoed, which is just what I expected.
Alfonso, I want to ask you, so I talked about the listening session. Since you weren't able to listen to it because you were busy there, and I understand. Let me just tell you something that the president said. He talked about the possibility of arming some teachers. I'm sure you heard about that at the town hall. Do you feel that idea would that make you feel safer?
That's a terrible idea. I don't know if Donald Trump has ever been to a public high school, but as far as I'm aware, teachers are meant to be educators. They are meant to teach young minds how to work in the real world. They are not meant to know how to carry AR-15s. They are not meant to know how to put on Kevlar vests for the other students or for themselves. This is not what we stand for. We stand for small policy changes and maybe possibly big ones in the future. Because right now, I'm pretty sick of having to talk about teachers being armed. Because that is not even a possibility in my mind. I would never want to see my teachers have to do that, and neither do they want to do that.
Mm-hmm. You have spoken so poignantly. You get politics, you get that money is involved with this, you get that you must hold feet to the fire. So what is next for this movement, Alfonso?
Not only on March 24th will I personally, with my colleagues who you saw on stage today, march down to Washington and demand and plead and ask for change. But I think pretty soon, maybe possibly next week, we'll be at Washington as well with Representative Deutsch, because change needs to happen as soon as possible. Thank you.
Alfonso Calderon, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. President Trump turned down an invitation today to be part of the CNN town hall and instead held a listening session at the White House today with students and parents who have faced the horror of school shootings from Stoneman Douglas to Sandy Hook to Columbine. Joining me now is my colleague, our senior White House correspondent, Pamela Brown. Pamela, good evening to you. That town hall was so powerful tonight, and I hope so many people got a chance to watch this and witness those students. And it was great to see them speaking, you know, with their lawmakers and holding a conversation, holding their feet to the fire. But I want you to talk to me about the emotional and the honest listening session held at the White House earlier today. The president was face-to-face with survivors and the family of Stoneman Douglas and other mass shootings.
That's right, Don. In fact, a lot of the emotion that you saw there at the town hall, you saw also today in the White House during this listening session when the president was face-to-face with some of these survivors of past school shootings and parents of survivors. And there really was a lot of emotion. And during this, Don, a photographer actually snapped a picture of a note card that the president was holding with visible points, including prompts such as, what would you most want me to know about your experience? What can we do to help you feel safe? And I hear you. We should note that the president was briefed before this listening session, but he did not have a teleprompter there, and he did go off script from what was written there on that White House postcard that we can see, telling the people in that room that he stands with them, that he's going to fight with them, and that he is grieving with them. But it was the parent of a student who was killed recently in Parkland, Florida, Andy Pollock. His daughter was killed. That really struck a chord with the president and others in that room, invoking a lot of emotion. Here's what he had to say.
I'm very angry that this happened because it keeps happening. 9/11 happened once and they fixed everything. How many schools, how many children have to get shot? It stops here with this administration and me. I'm not gonna sleep until it's fixed. And Mr. President, we're gonna fix it. All the school shootings, it doesn't make sense. Fix it. It should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed, because my daughter I'm not going to see again. She's not here. She's not here.
So as you can see, understandably, that father, he was trying to speak directly to the president, calling for action. The president seemed open to the ideas in that room, as he was there with the education secretary, as well as the vice president, I should say. But one idea he seemed particularly open to, Don, was arming teachers and other adults working at schools with concealed carry weapons. That could be one of the most controversial responses to yet another school shooting. You just heard the student there on your air, very outspoken about it, a teacher there at the town hall who was also outspoken about it and was not in favor of it. A lot of mixed reaction to that idea. Don.
Yeah, he said it was this student just said it was a terrible idea. Marco Rubio, by the way, town hall saying he was against that idea as well. Pamela, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I want to bring in now Daryl Scott. His daughter, Rachel, was killed at Columbine, and he spoke to the president at the listening session today. Thank you for joining us this evening here on CNN. I know it's been a long day for you.
Thank you.
It was so emotional today, I mean, for a lot of it, for the listening session, for the town hall. You started this very painful journey back in 1999 when your daughter was killed at Columbine. Do you think today could be a turning point? Are you optimistic that there will be some change?
I told my wife several days ago before this meeting that it just feels like something's different about this school shooting than any of the others. And I am optimistic that there will be some changes. A lot of focus is on the gun control issue. Our focus over the last 19 years has been on the climate and culture of the school, and we have a program called Rachel's Challenge that has reached over 28 million students and teachers in schools in the last 19 years. We have a team of 50 presenters and trainers that go into schools. We've seen 7 school shootings prevented, and we see an average of about 3 suicides prevented every single week. So we do know that there's a multitude of answers that need to be looked at, not just one. And our focus has been more on culture and climate changes, and we've seen a lot of progress with that. As far as we know, there hasn't been a school shooting in any of the 20,000 schools that we've been a part of, and we hope there never will be, and we want to get the message out more and more that if we can learn to connect with one another, and we create service clubs in the school that reach out to the kids that are loners, the kids that are potentially the ones that could be a school shooter, and we've seen 7 of those young people turn in their guns and prevent the school shooting from happening.
If there was one criticism that I heard that we've been hearing a lot of about the listening session at the White House today is that there wasn't much talk about the actual mechanism used in these shootings, and that is the gun. There was one young man who said, I can't believe that I can go out and buy a military-style, a military-grade weapon. There wasn't much talk about this at the White House today. Why is that?
Well, I thought there was a number of people who talked about the weapons and the guns. So I don't know how to respond to that. I know that at Columbine, the weapon of choice was not guns. Eric and Dylan chose propane tanks.
Backpacks.
If those propane tanks had exploded as they intended to for them to, there would have been over 500 students killed. So I am for anything that's going to prevent violence. So our focus has simply been on a different part of that, and that's the mental health issues, students that are isolated. We talk a lot about mental health issues, but I really believe beneath that is the isolation solution, because there's a lot of mentally ill people who are not prone to violence.
Yeah, most mentally ill people are not prone to violence. Violence is usually cast upon them. People are violent towards them. Yeah.
So So our whole focus has been, and it's just one part of the answer, it's not the whole answer, is to connect students with themselves, with each other, with their parents, and with their teachers. And so we have a series of programs that actually does that. It's not just a matter of teaching them, but we do a lot of exercises in which students, eye to eye, knee to knee, hand to hand, in small groups, discuss who they are with other students and open up to each other. And we see a lot of amazing things happen because of that.
Well, Darrell Scott, we thank you for your efforts. We appreciate you coming on CNN. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When we come back in, the president who last year promised the NRA, I will never, ever let you down, get behind significant changes to gun laws.
I lost 50 pounds on